If you want to be successful in the development of tourism, you need to give quality, benefits, and satisfaction to all stakeholders involved. A lot of the discussion about the future of tourism is wishful thinking. Regulations are not working if people don't follow them.
Welcome to another interview on the Tourism Foresight YouTube channel. I'm joined today by Professor Dr. Wolfgang Alt, who has over 20 years experience as Professor of Tourism Management in various universities, over 30 years experience in Chinese tourism research and consultancy, lastly as Director of the China Outbound Tourism Research Institute, and who has recently started the Meaningful Tourism Research Center. And this is why we're talking today with Professor Dr. Wolfgang Alt. Welcome, and I look forward to a good discussion on meaningful tourism.
Thank you very much for having me today. And indeed, I've been working for the last, 40 years in the field of Chinese tourism, especially Chinese outbound tourism. But as many other people, I had the opportunity during the pandemic to think a bit more about the future of tourism and how can we develop tourism in a positive, sustainable way. And as a result of that, we developed the paradigm of meaningful tourism. Basically, it's a very simple idea. The idea is that if you want to be successful in the development of tourism, you need to give quality, benefits, and satisfaction to all stakeholders involved. The background of this is positive sustainability, to say we are not talking about that you should stop doing things, that you should be ashamed of flying or stop doing this or that, but to see how can we get positive benefits for everybody involved. It's not about balancing interests which are seen as antagonistic. It is finding solutions where you align the interests and you find out, well, actually, there's a solution where both sides are happy with. And that is what we are trying to help the industry to move forward with trainings, with consulting, with research, with publications, and so on.
Okay, very interesting. You alluded a little to the fact that all stakeholders need to be on board with a solution and need to be happy with a solution. Is that possible? And I'm thinking of let's say the big over-tourism destinations like Barcelona, like Amsterdam. Is it possible to make all stakeholders happy?
I think it is. So the key point, I think, is a change of perspective. Mm-hmm. So that you're saying it's not automatically that the local population is the enemy of the visitors. If you have Venice, where you have 50,000 inhabitants versus 40 million visitors, so I would say there's a very simple solution. Out of the tourist tax people are paying when they stay in a hotel in Venice anyway, you take part of this money and just give it to the locals. So at the end of the year, everybody of the 50,000 Venetians get a 5,000 euro check from the government and saying, thank you for smiling at the tourists. And then people will have a concrete benefit from this, not only the people who work in the industry, because actually Venice is not a city anymore. Venice is a theme park. There's no way to deny that if you look at the numbers and you look at the situation. So, but of course, you are happy to have 50,000 people there. That gives some local flavor. There is a problem that the locals don't get cheap apartments anymore. But again, there is a solution for that. And I think in many cases is in making the losing side part of the deal, that they are given something out of the positive effects of the deal.
And, so in the case of Venice that you mentioned earlier, that would be part of the 5,000.
Yeah, but that can be money, but that doesn't have to be always money. That can also be pride. Mm-hmm. So if you succeed in telling the local people, look, what you think is your everyday life, other people spend a lot of money to travel 10,000 kilometers to come in and look at what you're doing. So that is also reinforcing traditions and giving people pride in what they're doing. If that is what you tell them, yeah, look, this is you think this is normal, but actually not many people do it, have this kind of festivities or culture events or whatever. So it's not just money. A lot of the discussion about the future of tourism is wishful thinking. Is saying, oh, if only those stupid tourists would understand that they should behave like this and this, or if only everybody would be a vegetarian. This is not going to happen. And of course, it's good people do that. It's wonderful, but it has been shown that this approach of telling people what is verboten, what they are not supposed to do, is not working, especially for leisure tourism when people are on holidays and they want to have fun. This is the time when they want to think the least about what is my environmental footprint while they are there. Maybe before they will talk about this, but once they're in the holiday destination, they don't want to be told, no, you can't do that. You can't try this local food because you know this is red meat. You shouldn't eat that.
But is that really a possibility for us, for the world at the moment, with about 8 billion inhabitants, to rely on positive psychology without any regulation?
Regulations are not working if people don't follow them, and to put a policeman and at every corner is too expensive. So it doesn't work. We all know that. So if you have a piece of grass and you put up a sign, don't walk across the grass. If this is a shortcut, people will do it. So you better make a little stone path in where the shortcut is, and then the problem is solved instead of putting a sign there, because nobody will follow the sign. I mean, this is common knowledge. So that and we have been trying very hard in the sustainability discussion to have this don't walk on the grass approach with putting up signs. That doesn't work. So you have to get people to understand what is the benefit if they follow advice, or if you say, okay, this is obviously an advantage for the people, they can have a shortcut, then organize it in a way that it doesn't hurt that they walked down that lane. So no, you need regulations, but you need regulations which are easy to follow and where the people understand, okay, what is behind this, and it will be easier.
How about tourists? So how can we use positive psychology to get tourists to change their behavior? You said before that regulation doesn't work and that it's wishful thinking, or that's not all regulation works. So how can we use the concept of meaningful tourism to change how we travel?
The short answer to that is the biggest attraction for tourists are people. So if you listen to people talking about their tourism experiences, there might be, if you go skiing or mountain climbing, there will be the nature experience. But for most people traveling, they will say, I met some interesting people. And that might be other tourists even, but also it will be, of course, local people. And this might be even more the case that we are now in a situation where very simply the average age of international travelers is moving up. So you have simply more older affluent people than young affluent people. So the idea that tourism is about beach volleyball and one night stands and alcohol is getting less, and you have more people in their 50s, 60s, 70s traveling and interested in the place they're visiting, in the culture there. And so this is, some of the DMOs are changing their definition of what is their job, from telling people how wonderful is my city and who is the architect of the cathedral, to bringing people of common interest together. So if you are interested in music, they will help you to meet local people who are also interested in music, and they will show you the best places for music, and you can talk to them. So all this special interest stuff you can do, and where also the tourists are giving something back. I've been traveling in Mongolia with a yurt and with horses, so traditional way, and I was told that in Mongolia, so it is the right of every person traveling, that in the evening, if there's the yard, you can go there, and you have to be given a shelter and a place to sleep and food, even if this is from an enemy kind of people. So as long as they are the guests, this is holy. In response, the guest has to tell stories. So that is from the times when there was no TV, so no Netflix. So that the guest is the evening entertainment. So he has to tell interesting stories, either what happened somewhere or fairy tales or whatever comes he can talk about. And I think this is something, the idea that also the guest is providing something. And this is, of course, it's if you start talking to each other, you see, there's a lot of interesting things.
Is that really a possibility for us, for the world at the moment, with about 8 billion inhabitants, to rely on positive psychology?
Less so, of course, but I think this is what will change. I think the this kind of tourism where you have a million people on a beach and like in Spain, and the waitress comes from Romania anyway, and there's no Spanish persons to be seen anywhere, and the food comes from a convenience food from a factory. So I think that this kind of tourism will not be as popular in the future as it was in the past. So I think that this is not. It will still exist. I think for the majority of tourists, this will become less and less attractive. And of course, it is a mistake if you have alternatives to build everything only on tourism. So, but of course, for many destinations, there's no choice. The Maldives, what else should they sell other than tourism? And many other places. But no, it has to work for bigger groups of people, because that is the only way we have an impact. So it doesn't. I think that's part of the problem we have at the moment, that we have, I don't know, 5% or maybe not 10% in the future of people who say, I want to have a minimum ecological footprint, and I want to be careful what I'm doing. But the planet doesn't mind what the minority is doing. It's a question of what the majority is doing. So it is something which can work, and so I think there are solutions for almost all of the challenges you have. You only have to start thinking about this in a way that we say, okay, how can we find a solution which has benefits for everybody, which has not been done in the past.
Yeah, and how can you do that? You mentioned the path that is a shortcut through the park, and that's sort of a design aspect that we are thinking in
squares.
In squares, exactly. But when we're walking, we take the shortest route possible, and that is not a square. But in tourism, how can we start to think laterally?
I give you one example. So it was in the news the last few weeks that the Comoro Islands, where these giant lizards are living, which look like dinosaurs, that the central government of Indonesia decided that from August 1st, now they say from January next year, the entrance fee for the national park where these animals are living is going up from $13 to $250. So and then the local tourist people went on strike because they said, "Are you crazy? That means for at least 90% of the tourists, they will not be able or willing to pay $250 entrance fee." But it's good for the animals, so because the starting point was that the animals have too much stress from all the visitors coming there. But again, so this is the idea: you have visitors against environment, and the local people nobody cares about. So if you change this to a meaningful tourism approach to say, okay, let's find a solution which is good for everybody. you can say, okay, we put some of these animals in a kind of zoo atmosphere with maybe some glass walls around. So and out of 3,000 animals they have, so we put 5 or 6 there. So they once in their lifetime they will have to work for 2 weeks, being the one in the cage. So you can offer this for a low price. People can still have the experience. And for those people who have enough money or are very interested, you offer the expensive one with a ranger, and you can get deep experience. At the same time, for the local tourism people, instead of selling Coca-Cola, you help them to develop some authentic local food to offer that, so they can earn more money and can be more proud that they are showing their own culture, not only with the animals but also with their food or the handicrafts or whatever. So you help them to earn more money. The animals are happy because they have less stress. You have the rich tourists have their VIP service. The normal tourists also are not kicked out of the whole thing, and the local tourism industry, the local people can earn more money and are more happy that people not just coming for the animals but also for them. We have just finished the application period for the first Meaningful Tourism Award, and we had a lot of very, very good best practice examples. For instance, there is a organization in London, and they have employed former homeless people as tour guides. Mm-hmm. And these guys are now working as tour guides, and they show in a walking tour people how they have been living before as a homeless person, and showing that is and what are the secrets of a city as a homeless you never know as a normal citizen. And this is, for instance, something where you can see this is where tourism is doing something for the local community. I came across another very simple example in I think in Tanzania. There was a problem that you had elephant sanctuaries, and the elephants had to cross a street which was also used by local people for the children to walk to the school in the next bigger village. And sometimes the elephants attacked the kids, with the result that once a year a kid was killed, and the mothers had to walk with the kid. So they were walking 1 hour to the school, 1 hour back, and the afternoon again. So the mothers wasted 4 hours a day walking back and forth and also, of course, what happened is that a few elephants were shot in the night. So because the villagers thought these are the enemies. And so you can go to this in a confrontational way and say, the villagers have to be educated or punished or both, not to touch the elephants. Or you say, well, the kids can't go to school anymore. But if you say, okay, we need a solution for both sides. Mm-hmm. Somebody came up with a very rocket science idea, a bus. So and some NGO gave some money, and now they have a school bus, which is going in the morning and the afternoon. And in the bus, the kids are safe, and you created a job or two for the bus driver, some local guy, and problem solved. Now, what we see now in the tourism industry is a lack of employees. Mm-hmm. So that because in the past, we all know that people working in the industry in tourism, especially in hospitality, have been treated as human resources and not as human beings, and had a very hard jobs with very little pay. And so many of them found in the meantime, okay, you can have a Monday, Friday, 9 to 5 sitting down job for the same money. So why should I come back? And this is because this were one of the stakeholders I would think give the least interest and the least attention. And even today, if you read papers about sustainable tourism or responsible tourism or regenerative tourism, very seldom people speak about the fact that you need also good and fair and fulfilling and meaningful working conditions for the people providing the services. I think this is one of the key things, is that you give them recognition. Mm-hmm. So that you recognize and publicly, so that and I give an example. I saw in one city in Europe that a hotel in a not so good part of the city, that they put posters on the bus stops around the hotel with the pictures of the employees in the hotel, and saying, these people help our borough to get a better image. So the people who come to our hotel, they are given very good service. So they go away and tell other people good things about our part of the city. So be thankful to them. They help everybody to that our part of the city gets a better image. And I think this is, how much does it cost? A few hundred euros or pounds. Yeah. And so the people working in the hotel will be very proud, and their kids will show this to their friends on the way to school. Look, this is my mother up there. She is an ambassador of our district. So this kind of things, which are not money, but which will make people very proud and very happy about what they're doing, and giving them a new idea that what they're doing is not just earning money by handing over keys at the reception, but this is something where they are ambassadors of their district. This is something which you do not think about if you think in KPIs, which are just simple monetized things. So because this is of course that is not helping to get more visitors or more guests in your hotel. Yeah. But now people hopefully understand it helps you to get employees, and so the marketing is not only for the customers, you also have to have internal marketing. And maybe the people now working in this hotel, they will tell their friends looking for a job, why you should also apply to work in our place because it's a nice place.
So we've been talking about meaningful tourism as a concept, but what does that concretely mean for companies, for destinations that want to put that into practice? So what actions can they take?
Yes, so thank you for this question, because this whole thing is not just an academic endeavor, but it's supposed really to help the tourism industry to have a sustainable development. There is a need for change anyway, if only because of the climate catastrophe. And so therefore we are what we are doing is, of course, we have developed a first training program, and we are working at the moment to have a more detailed, more advanced training program. So people can do this by themselves. But of course, also we offer that we are helping people in their strategy development and development of new KPIs, which keep this different stakeholders in mind. And of course, most big companies, most destinations already have some sustainability plan or some ideas. So it's not that we are telling people this is all rubbish and we have to throw this all away, but it's rather that we say, okay, this is a add-on to what you have been thinking about, and we can show you that maybe why this is not super successful, because there are some holes in it. There are some black spots you have not given attention to, and we can help you to make this a more rounded, a more holistic approach by adding this and this, by looking at this from a meaningful tourism point of view, and then coming up with new solutions. And I think the key point is, of course, that as people have become much more aware than they were before the pandemic and before this summer, you can actually earn money from that. You can have a first mover's advantage if you can tell people we are the guys who are doing more than just taking away the plastic straws and telling people to put the towel back on the rack. We can provide strategies and insights and new ways of looking at things. In the end, it's always the people on the ground who have to make the decisions and know their product better than anybody else. But this kind of outside holistic look is, in my experience, over many years as a consultant and as a trainer and as a professor, you have very often this. You look at this from the outside and you discuss this, and at the end of the day, people say, "Yeah, that's obvious. Why did we not think about this before?" But it's because you always look in the same direction and in the same way. So this is what we try to do. It's not rocket science. We did not invent the wheel. it is a lot of this is common sense, but which has not been used.
You've alluded that you've got the Meaningful Tourism Awards at the ITB in Asia.
I was really happy to see how many good applications came in, and how many people in all over the world, small initiatives and also some bigger companies do some very clever things and very interesting new approaches. I think the biggest number of applications were for connecting to the host community in different ways. That this is something a lot of companies have understood, that you have to have good terms with host communities so that they are supporting your business, that they are friendly to your customers, but also that this is what your customers are interested in. So if you can have some real experience with real people and see how is their everyday life, and so that this is something which is very interesting. I'm optimistic that there are many people out there who have thought about how to make this a better situation, have better products and services. And we will also produce a ebook afterwards where we will show this award winners' activities as best practice examples.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to the ebook. So if anyone, as you said, needs a Christmas present, check out the Meaningful Tourism website. I suppose it'll be on there, and then we can learn from best practices. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Wolfgang Alt, for giving us an overview of Meaningful Tourism.